Bread maker olive and oregano loaf. It's so versatile. Dip it into balsamic vinegar and olive oil, dunk it into soup, or turn it into a great sandwich or toastie. This is such an easy loaf to make. Wholemeal flour. You can use any ratio of wholemeal to white. I'm going with 3/4 wholemeal, if I've got enough. Just about. So it's 400 grams flour total. I made this bread recently when I had a cold and I didn't have the energy for my usual sourdough loaf. That loaf isn't difficult to make, but you've got to time it right and feed the starter and shape the bread. And I just wanted to put ingredients into my bread maker and have a nice loaf pop out a few hours later, and this was perfect for that. Right, we've got the flour, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 3 tablespoons of oil. I'm using extra virgin olive oil. 1 teaspoon of salt, tablespoon of dried oregano, get in there. 270 ml of water. Yeast will do in a minute. I'm going to talk about the olives now. I've already chopped them. This recipe is really easy and I wanted to say it's foolproof, but I did make a mistake with it last time. So I'll just grab the dispenser. The recipe says to use 75 grams of olives. I know from making my sultana loaf that I can fit 150 grams of sultanas into the dispenser. Now, whether you should or not is a different question. I put 150 grams of chopped olives into the dispenser and it was full, and you have to level the top so the ingredients don't hit the top of the bread maker. I squashed the olives down, and when the cycle had finished, I had a lovely loaf of bread, but 3/4 of the olives were still in the dispenser. Today, I've gone with 100 grams. We'll see how it goes. If you do want more, because when I put inclusions in a loaf, I really want to see them when I cut the loaf. I want every slice to have olives. And I just feel like sometimes 50 grams, 75 grams, you don't see that throughout the loaf. If you decide to pack your dispenser like I did, just make sure you're around when the bread maker's kneading, just to check that the olives have gone in. Just make sure the little trap door is shut. I should know better. I've made this mistake before. I know not to wedge ingredients in there. Never learn. Right, that is looking a bit more reasonable than last time. I just sort of level it. Let's move over to the machine. Bread pan in, then close the lid and open the top compartment. Snap in the raisin and nut dispenser, then add 3/4 teaspoon of yeast to the yeast dispenser. I'm using Allison's Easy Bake yeast. Set the program to whole wheat raisin and choose size medium. The program's going to take 5 hours, so we'll come back to that. In the meantime, I'd like to show you what I've been experimenting with. I'm trying to make sourdough from start to finish in my bread maker using a proper starter, not store-bought yeast, and this is the result. Cole was like, "Gonna use that in your thumbnail?" This loaf had an overnight proof, 9.5 hours, which is far too long. So I need to experiment with proofing during the day when I can control when I bake it. But I know it's a failure. Hopefully I can still use it for croutons, but it's a good data point. I learned a lot from this loaf. I'll keep trying. That's the raisin and nut dispenser. I'm coaxing the last few olives in, but there aren't many, so don't worry if you're not around to do this. The program's done, and I won't lie, I'm nervous after this morning's sourdough fail. Phew. I've made this loaf a lot, just not in this machine before, but I'm surprised to see that a few olives missed the bread pan. Anyway, the bread has risen beautifully, but it's refusing to come out of the pan. I opt for vigorous shaking, but you can just leave it for 10 minutes. I've promised myself that I won't put any kind of implement into this bread pan, even soft plastic, because I scratched my last pan and they are horribly expensive to replace. Both the crust and crumb are lovely and soft with this loaf. This recipe comes from the manual for my old bread maker, and I've put a link to it in the description. It's a treasure trove of recipes. My new manual doesn't have anywhere near as many, which is a shame. Good morning. I made this loaf overnight using the 13-hour timer because we've already eaten a big chunk of the other loaf and it's come out really well. It looks exactly the same as yesterday's loaf, even down to the slightly wrinkly top, which happens about 10 minutes after the bread comes out of the bread maker. Apparently that is steam escaping, and if you use 10 to 20 ml less water, it can help with that, but I'll be honest, it doesn't bother me at all. Something else I've noticed, I have got a few stray olives in the bottom of my machine again, same as yesterday. I feel like maybe Panasonic should have inset the fruit and nut dispenser just a little bit more. I have got a brand new 2540, which is pretty much the same as the 2550. If you've got this model, can you tell me if you experience the same thing if you make loaves with inclusions? I don't remember this happening on my old machine. Anyway, I'm going to slice into this now. It smells wonderful. I would really recommend using the timer here because waking up to the smell of this bread is such a treat. It makes for a great breakfast, toasted with scrambled eggs piled on top, but it really shines in this cheese, tomato and pesto toastie. Col agrees.
So good.
I've eaten quite a lot of bread today. That toastie was very good though. Anyway, thank you for watching. Do subscribe for more bread maker content, recipes and reviews. See you in the next video. I've had another go at the sourdough loaf and it is definitely improving. Video coming soon.